We will now go through a journey to the 12 dimensions of consciousness. I would like to present a model by Burkhard Heim, which represents and relates all levels of consciousness to each other. Burkhard Heim was a brilliant German scientist. His model is already over 40 years old, and yet it is a foundation of great value. Because only if we assume the existence of higher states of consciousness, the next step becomes even conceivable. The MindFlow concept developed by me takes this model as its basics. MindFlow works with the G4 state. This is a higher state of consciousness in which you can completely relax and accept the gifts of life. Here blockades can be released and energy can be set free. When we are in this state, things energetically align themselves with us, and we can do nothing or do not want to achieve everything. You probably found this video because you have already developed a sense that this world consists of more than just what we can grasp with our minds. Nevertheless, I will offer a better understanding of what the G4 state is. Now let us dive into a world where everything is possible. The 12-dimensional model leads us to the all-embracing assumption which can be described as enlightenment all one, universal consciousness or God, depending on the usage of language. Starting with 0 dimensions, we can even speak of 13 dimensions. Burkhard Heim's theory is based on complex mathematical formulas, which I will not go into in detail in this context. We have therefore reduced the information to the essentials. But now we begin our journey into the 0 dimension, the absolute standstill, no movement. There is no left, no right, no up or down. The first dimension. Our point begins to vibrate in one dimension by an impulse, a vibration or frequency which gives the impulse. Now it moves in one direction and it can move back and forth on its line. However, the one-dimensional is without width, thickness or height. This line is the x-coordinate. There are now several of them which cross each other. Interaction is possible at the intersection of these axes. Where two axes intersect, a point is formed which belongs to the dimension above the 0 dimension. Where this interaction then comes from, it's not known in the 3rd dimension. Terms like forward or backward do not exist at this level yet. A 2nd dimension. Our line in the 1st dimension doesn't know yet that it can move into 2-dimensional space. For them, there is only forwards and backwards along the x-axis. Height and other dimensions are not perceptible to them. If more energy comes into play, our line begins to vibrate to the left and right in the y-coordinate. Here too, it only continues in one direction at first, but at least now at surface it's created. There's a known length and a back and forth. Now we can control the game to the left and right, although everything is flat, without height, thickness or depth. But also, with 2 dimensions already a lot of action is possible. Forwards, backwards, left, right. And again, the interaction takes place at the points of intersection, which represent the lengths of the dimensions above. And here again, the line does not indicate that it can move in 3-dimensional space. For them, there is only the Pac-Man world, 3rd dimension. If we add more energy, the surface also begins to vibrate and upwards, down along the z-coordinate. Now there is forward, backward, left and right, up and down. Finally, we are in the spatial world where the perceive shapes, distances, relationships as we normally do, as if we could touch them. Space is created. 4th dimension again, space does not show that it can already move in the 4th dimension of time. However, since space and form can form and decay, it is already subject to time. Having arrived in the fourth dimension, movement in time is now also possible, and interaction takes place at points of intersection. Everything comes into being and passes away, yet time has not the slightest clue that is already moving the fifth dimension. It cannot perceive mind and psyche, physis and bios. Now we leave the space-time continuum and enter the energetic control field. Fifth dimension. Family constellation have you already taken for total nonsense? Welcome to the fifth dimension, where energetic journeys through time are possible and can bring about changes in now. You thought that time can only move forward? Let the fifth dimensional teach you better from here. The fifth dimension is the astral plane. Here you find psyche, mind, physical and bios. It is the structure of space, 1. From here only it will be difficult to describe because the aspects of this plane of consciousness are difficult to imagine with your imagination alone. You have to experience them, but try anyway and add more energy to the system, and miracles become possible. We can be in different places at the same time, wandering through the mountains and at the same time taking part in a big concert. Space becomes meaningless because we can be everywhere. 6 dimensions. Let's add even more energy. The next field is already waiting for us. The 6th dimension is structural reform 2, where we are on the mental level, where it is all about meaning and purpose. Everything is at the same time and in the same place, or time and space dissolve into now and here. Previous structures of the mind no longer work. If we leave this level and ascend into the 7th dimension, we reach the global universal information field. Here all further dimensions are no longer in the energy space, but in the information space. Everything consists of information. We have left the world of forms. All particles must know how they belong together. Atoms, electrons, neutrons must find their arrangement, so that a certain substance can be created, so the matter can be created, so that your universe can exist. 8th dimension. Again, we add energy. The 8th dimension is the collective information field. Information is here collectively connected like a spiritual network, an invisible intelligence network that can be questioned on any topic. Together, we know more than all individual parts together. You only have to connect to this network and be connected to it. For example, if you know about working with the Akasha Chronicle or haven't been there, when a larger group of people move together into the higher states of consciousness, you can imagine that information becomes accessible here. Now, with a little more energy, we are taking the new dimension one level higher. Let us reach the universal consciousness and have left the information field and meet our soul. Here we discover the essence. All previous dimensions are integrated here. Here we end up in G4 state, from which we can draw energy from outside the previous closed system. Here duality is abolished, the judging, the wanting and the needing. 10th dimension. When we reach an even higher level, we enter the 10th dimension. The consciousness, everything is one, and one is everything. 11th dimension. If we sweep up more energies, we almost reach the 11th dimension at enlightenment. The divine will is intention and meaning. Where there is an intention, what was intended arises from the intention. It does not even require action. It only takes intention with the mind, which is hard to imagine. What miracles happen on this level? 12th dimension. The last increase is then the one of the 12th dimension to God. Here there are no words anymore about this state of consciousness. From the 9 we are in the so-called G4 state. G4 is our purest, natural, divine state in which we are in perfect flow and harmony. When we are in this state, we are so in tune that we don't like anything, don't need anything, and are without resistance. There is no blockage. We are in the total flow. In this state, we have so much energy that now the body and brain can restore themselves. In this state, we have 100% of our energy. In all other energy states, even when we feel good, we lose energy when we interact with other people in a lower energy state. In the G4 state, we no longer do this. There we can keep 100% of our energy and at the same time help other people to release their blockades and thereby increase their own energy. Our health also benefits from such a state. Our cells produce more energy and health problems and blockades can be overcome faster. Of course, this does not mean that we have mastered everything and have reached full enlightenment. However, we manage the work our way forward layer by layer, like an onion, and solve deeper and deeper blockades up to traumas that last for several generations and still influence us today. Through the G4 state, we also become independent of the power games that many people play. Because if we reach our goals only with the power of will, it takes a lot of energy. Exactly what I long for and want to achieve, I miss this moment. So I focus on the lack and need a lot of energy. In the G4 state, we are free of wanting, so we ourselves come into a state of power without fight and without manipulation. You can experience the G4 state very quickly. Now many are asking where this knowledge comes from. The truth is, this knowledge is old, several thousand years old. It has remained under lock and key by rulers, mystics and clergy. Through this exclusive access, they were able to centralize power over centuries and millennia and have power over the population.